man. As hectic as it is, I think the delay we're in. Hey, whoa, it's the Illusion reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth, riding the skaterix with one Jordan Richter. Dude, so you reverted. I saw that you reverted off the hip, bro.
Oh, you saw? I got a revert for you, bro.
Dude, we didn't know.
How does that? Yeah, well, it's all right.
Oh.
How does that work though? Like, it doesn't matter what you do, like you'll still be known as like the most fast forwarded video part in history. I think that's quite hilarious. And I realize though, the truth of the matter is that those guys who make that joke are usually guys who I don't think have ever dropped in a vert ramp. Most of them, or they've dropped in a vert ramp very little, which is
they don't have a video part.
They don't go to revert.
They're not in one of the most famous. They're not in one of the most famous skate films of all.
I know. It's like, would you rather be in the most famous skateboard video and be fast forwarded the most, or would you not rather be in the video at all? I'd rather be fast forwarded than not at all.
Yeah, well, at least you were a professional jerking, Jordan, dude.
Thank you.
Yeah, dude. That's nothing to
yeah, that's nothing to scoff about.
No, nothing to jerk about either, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're stoked.
Totally. I'm thankful, man.
Yeah, you should be thankful.
I'm thankful for all those experiences.
But now that you've reverted, so if you go to Jordan Richter's Instagram page, you can see him actually reverting off the hip into the deep end.
That was a truth be told, bro. That was an MBD. No one's done a grind off of that pool. I don't know if you looked at that hip, but that's a legit hip.
Oh, that's super legit into the. So no one's ever done that off a hip like that, or
I've never seen anyone do it before that. Maybe after. I mean,
were you doing like a front 5-0 grind, or were you doing 50-50?
I've been doing front 5-0s off the hip for a long time.
So you were front 5-0.
That was 50-50 might be actually gnarly because that'll throw you out more because you have to set your truck down and then you have to go off. So the front 5-0 is more you can stay closer to the transition.
So you go lock in front 5-0 to backside revert, right?
Front side revert, front side 180 out.
Front side
5-0, front 180 out.
Gotcha.
Down the water.
Into the deep end.
It's like the deep end. You're kind of riding down the.
Dude, it's into the deep end, bro. You're coming off the hip. You're not. You could. I forgot the name of it, but. You could split hairs. The deep end is you're going all the way down.
You're going all the way down.
You're all the way in, dude.
You're going all the way in. I mean, you it's funny that trick when you bail it, you shoot out into the flat, like, and it's legit. It's a legit revert.
The goon sack fully propped you up on that, dude.
Me and Peter go back. He's my first skateboarding friend. Not a lot of people know that. I lived on one side of the canyon in University City, or I lived in La Jolla off of La Jolla Village Drive. He lived in University City, literally on both opposite ends of the canyon. And there was a canyon ramp that we met at in the bottom, it was 8 foot wide. It had a 4 foot roll in and an extension on one side, and then an 8 foot wall on the other. And it was like 9 feet high with no vert. It was just like a big bank. Anyways, we met there.
I guess my point being is when Hewitt's giving you the props. It doesn't matter that you go way back to the beginning. That's pretty much one of the gnarliest of gnarly skaters, dude, out there, giving you that. So you that officially counted.
Pete has always been very supportive of me. So.
Yeah, man. No, that's he's a nice dude, man. I've had the pleasure of I skated the nude bowl with him.
He's a really good person. He's just a good dude.
Humble dude, man.
He's a good guy.
Yeah,
his parents raised him well, you know. His mom and dad are really good people.
Nice, dude. Yeah. So that's sort of your breaking news. So does that get you back into the pro game, or are you going to the Olympics?
That was like 7 years ago. That was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Oh, that wasn't the other day.
No.
Oh, dude.
Sorry.
I thought that was like winter.
It was like 5 years ago or something.
I thought that was winter time down the street.
No.
Just like I'm gonna go.
I never claimed that. I just posted it.
No. But it's Instagram, dude. It's
sorry. Yeah, I want to clarify. It was old footage, so it's
you were supposed to. It was supposed to be a throwback then, dude.
It might still be in me. I should have put throwback. You're right.
You didn't throw back, dude. You took advantage of me, bro.
Sorry, bro.
You promo coded.
I faked it.
That was a promo code, dude.
Well, I could have just like shined it on and been like, yeah, bro, it's the other day. I could have done that, but I didn't do that. At least
I didn't do that. I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
It was just a normal day, man. Just driving my Subaru last week, not in the bowl.
I know, dude. So how is the Subaru, dude?
It's good, man. It's good.
Is it good, dude?
I don't really know at this point. I don't really care.
Dude, I think the pendulum's gonna swing back the other way, dude. It's gonna gain legitimacy.
That seems to be a common theme with me in my life. You know, it's like a few years later, things become like cool. You know, and like, maybe the Subaru will one day become like like equivalent to like a Ford F-150 or something. It's like the new Ford F-150.
It's the new Ford F-150, dude. Sweet, bro. That is sweet. So
I don't identify with my cars that deep. And same with politics and everything else. I'm not.
Dude, I have this buddy of mine, right? He's like a full Chevy dude, and he still named his son Ford.
Those are like people who go to tailgate parties and like at football games and stuff. And it's like I don't know, man. I never really
dude, the rumor is I heard that they're still doing the Super Bowls, dude.
Dying suddenly. Quarterback died suddenly today at the Super Bowl. We don't know why. 25-year-old man. He's died suddenly.
Yeah, someone sent me something about something, and it was like and I was like, oh yeah, they still do that. They're still doing the Super Bowl.
Isn't that crazy? After like all the insults that we've been put under, all the ridicule, and people are still willing to tune into the Super Bowl after COVID-19 and all the mockery and all the trolling and all the fake news media, and from Obama to Bush to Trump to Biden, everyone's like, yeah, this is legit, man. Let's do the Super Bowl now. It's all good.
It's all good, dude. Let's get back, man. Yeah. America, dude. America. Yeah, so you see the writing on the wall, dude. They gotta cuck the uncuckable, the cuckaroo, dude.
Let's do the Super Bowl now.
Team sports is a great way to do it. My jersey wins, dude.
Yeah, it's like different levels of divide and conquer. Like at the most like basic, like stupid dumb level, which is like football, and then it gets more. I think that's like the spectrum. It starts from like Super Bowl, And then I don't know what would be on the other end of the spectrum of divide and conquer. Probably like, probably religion or politics. Even though politics is
religion's
probably closest,
the
politics is closer to football, but it can
Yeah.
it can go like
it can
across the
actually
spectrum anyway.
it's got a wide
It's
spectrum,
got a wide swing.
because it can touch all of the things.
Yeah,
But the preeminent, well, I guess I don't know, it's either
Stupid bowl.
racial
Right.
identity or the way you pray.
Yeah, racial identity is pretty deep. That one's good. That's actually a good one.
I don't know, but you look at like Rwanda, dude, that was a religion thing, dude. Middle East religion stuff.
What about
Even
Wakanda, bro?
Even the wheat fields is like a religion thing, dude, kind of.
I was thinking about the black the whole like sort of like, it's a weird humiliation ritual of the white on white people, and I know like people interpret
What's that, the Super Bowl?
that too, but no, well, just as a disclaimer, my son is half African American, so I used to be married to a black woman, so I'm not, but there's this whole like, a lot of like Black History Month. Can you imagine White History Month? No, you can't imagine White History Month. So what I'm saying, what it does to like, it's this divide and conquer thing is what I'm saying. It makes it breaks hard, breaks.
But even when you do like
directions.
that's sort of narrative, right? Like it's you want to really offend someone, call someone from Ghana an African. Call someone from Nigeria an African, dude. Call someone from Zimbabwe an African, dude. They all have like this. So that's like the weird thing.
My teacher, Imam Fode, he's from Senegambia. So you would say he's Senegambian. You wouldn't say he's African. That's
what I mean.
Yeah. No, I totally get you. I totally get it.
It's the same. It's the same thing, like with not giving people that like there's like that big thing about the original people that they will call them the Native Americans, which to me is the ultimate insult, because underneath that is very specific historical identities through tribal lineage, like to lump.
Yeah, did they call it America? No,
but just
probably
that
not.
weird thing where you have people that try to do that thing, and then they lump everybody in like one group, when it's like, I don't know, dude, like they were all very specifically like attuned to their own like reality. Like they would have, like their ancestors would have been mighty offended to be lumped into the same group as they were, going to battle with each other, dude. I'm sure the Blackfeet would have been horrified to be lumped into the same group as, the Lakota, whoever used to chase them off of the prairies. You know what I mean? Like the Nez Perce were not the Apaches, dude. The Chumash were not the San Gabriels, you know what I mean? Like, but call them Native Americans, dude. I like, that's one of the things that I really just can't do. I can only go original people. That's as blanket statement as I can. But everywhere there's original people, man.
It's true.
You get into the whole
They went from Eastern Europe and Russia, Poland. There was the original people allegedly of Israel. So that's why the Palestinians have to get out.
Whoa, dude.
The original people.
You mentioned Palestine, you're anti-Semitic, dude. This is obviously a trope. And BDS, this is it. Nope, dude. Don't do it, man.
Okay.
People are gonna get pissed. Yeah, that the Palestine thing, dude. It's I was talking about the other day.
Palestinians are actually more Semitic than anyone else who was in that region. I mean,
yeah, that's still unbelievable. People are like waving their blue and yellow around while that's still going on. Just that will still be going on, and the wheat fields of Eastern Europe will be long gone, dude. They'll be rebuilding that one real quick here.
There's a there's a the found I I could read you some eventually, maybe sometime in the next 45 minutes. I'll read it. It's like 2 little paragraphs, but it's from a guy named Sufyan Jan called the 2.0, the founding of Israel. Russian Israeli spy networks, espionage, and technology transfers. It's fascinating.
Yeah.
But we could talk about that another time, or I can send it to you and you can check it out in your own time.
It's one of those things. It's again,
it gets you canceled.
Well, no, it's not even that. It's
canceled. I'm joking.
Canceled. And it's canceled. It's funny. I ran into this dude. I was at the Chinese military base where you buy your lumber supplies, and the orange one, not the blue one, the orange Chinese military base. And I was walking down the like the garden aisle, and this dude's like, "Yo, Illusion, what's up?" Some like older dude. And he's like, "Man," and like again, I've run into a bunch of people, and it really confirms, like, he's like, I haven't checked in since like 2019. I go, yeah, it's a common thing. Like, they just shut my thing down, and like when the coup started, dude, I did not carry the right message, dude. It's pretty interesting to watch how they can just shut it off.
It's weird. It's like a weird, like, I think that either the AI, it's definitely the algorithm, and the AI has some parameters that are sort of that pick up.
I don't even think I don't get into that whole like aspect of it all. Like,
well, like, I think it is that. I mean, it kind of,
I think that, but I think that short circuits like really
messaging, and then
they just they were just like, let's hit the censorship button now.
Yeah, I don't think that there's like a dude who does that. I just think it's like the actual.
No, there's guaranteed there was a little meeting, and they're like, okay, it's censorship time. Because there was
that's a lot of channels. There's a lot of channels. I mean, there's millions and millions of. No,
but that's what I mean is they just hit the little like the code that they built into the thing.
just like a mass censorship. Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's any different than me going over into my toolbar up here and opening, typing in, like, when you're like, I've been doing my taxes and get my tax records organized, right? You can like do the search through your things, just pull up all whatever, blue California Blue Cross, dude, like all of those just come up. I think it's just like that in the thing. They just go, it's already built in. I think one of the big tricks that they've gotten everyone dumb again is it was always built for that.
What about this Chinese spy balloon?
I did a whole podcast about that.
I really believe that they are sending their balloons over here to spy on us, and there's really nothing else that they. There's no other country out there, I don't believe, that has ever done any kind of spying on America.
Well, no, it was all, again, as I view it as all, it was the balloons. It was the balloon satellites that are above the realm. One just came down low because they were talking about how at the same time I was listening to a thing today, about how the United States military has they orbit at 90,000 feet, man. You never even see it. So like that whole weird thing of, when they got into like the round, the ball and the flat and the pizza plate model, dude, of the realm, that was all designed to obfuscate the realm issue, dude, of like what is up there. And the minute you get everyone arguing about that, they forgot that like the whole premise is that there's upper stuff going on in the because we don't know what it is, right? They've dictated what the upper atmosphere is. We don't know what it is. It's the troposphere, it's the ionosphere, it's this sphere, it's that sphere. It goes up 10 miles, it does this, it's whatever. And the minute they went roundy flatty, dude, we fully just got so sucked into the vortex of not. And so I think one of the things just fell out of orbit or out of altitude or how to malfunction. That's why they wouldn't shoot it down, because they were fully afraid that if they did, one of the little components might end up in the wrong person's hand. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That's why I had to wait till it got over water where it was guaranteed to like gurgle. Because if it landed in a farmer's, on a farm field, it's kind of hard to track it down. And some dude with the metal detector might find the little thing and just be like, oh, dude, this is like a chunk of satellite, bro. This isn't a spy balloon, dude. This is like, this guy has AT&T written right on it, dude. Or whatever, dude.
And Sony
So
Ericsson.
I the more and more I think about it, it's also dumb, dude.
I don't know. I think sometimes these things are just like they're like metaphorical little,
for sure,
pranks. Like what is a balloon? Like it's full of hot air, right? Or it's over America. Like it has these like there's these like what do you call? I don't know, not parables, but there's some like weird like metaphor to it.
Well, it gets talking about going back to the polarization, right? It gets the rah patriots to like, you gotta shoot the thing down, man. Like,
and it's also like it's almost like the wind, it's like the wind that there's this like thing of like, why don't they do anything to China for doing this thing to us, for releasing the virus from the wet market in Wuhan. Why don't they go and do something to these people? And it's like the balloon, shoot the balloon down. That's the big squirt, kind of like the winning the Super Bowl.
Get the balloon, yeah. Well, there was that.
We got him, yeah.
Yeah, but there's an interesting movie that was, if you took any of that sort of stuff in college, I believe it was called The Blue Balloon, which is a famous foreign film. Wait, let me see. Just Blue Balloon, the movie. Or maybe it was The Red Balloon, dude. It was The Red Balloon, dude. 1973, The Blue Balloon, dude.
Oh, there's spiritual.
Oh, that's not it, dude.
There's according to Yogi Weekly, there's a spiritual meaning of balloon symbolism. So yeah, it's like
that was the red balloon. Wait,
the balloon represents our aims, our objectives, and dreams in life. They are directly symbolic of what we aspire to achieve. We may not always be aware, but our balloons fly in ways and at a pace that we would like our lives to fly, like in order to reach and realize our ambitions.
Yeah, again, it just taps into the whole. I think it taps into the whole thing again. If you're paying attention, it's like that's how dumb it is, dude. Like balloons, balloons, bro. It's a bunch of balloons.
White balloon means hopes and dreams. So there you go. Maybe it's.
Well, I think it's inverted in the sense of it makes you not think that this thing isn't plugged directly into the Chinese database.
No way, don't say that. That's not
Yeah.
that's not wasn't even a thought.
Yeah. So I think again, it's that weird thing where I was I got one of those like ear cleaners with the camera, dude, and it taps into the whole thing to get the picture, dude. By the way, don't buy one. It's a giant, doesn't work. I got suckered, dude. But
What'd you get suckered into?
you got that like the ear camera, so you can like the earwax camera thing, dude. Like, but it doesn't, it's useless, dude. Anyway, but the point being is like it taps into the whole internet main Wi-Fi's. It has a localized Wi-Fi signal. It's very interesting, dude.
Yeah, I by the way, I didn't like, I mean, I'm not looking at the whole balloon thing for any other thing except like the actual like I just think it's some like whatever, some occult sort of weird. It's for them to like whatever. It's just like a
Yeah,
giggle.
it's again, it's a Truman Show laugh.
Yeah,
It's the
that's
equivalent
exactly.
of them dropping the light out of the ceiling. You know what I mean? It's the stage lighting fell out of the ceiling. Hey,
Yeah.
let's drop a stage light out of the ceiling. The balloon, dude. The balloon. Because you're like, so let me get this straight. Let's have fun with this for a split second. Because the more you break. So what does the balloon prove? The balloon proves that there's no such thing as NORAD, right? That it proves that like our air surveillance that's supposedly there to protect America from the incoming whatever obviously doesn't work, because it's not like the balloon got released over Montana, right? It fell out of an upper orbit, but wait a minute. So you're telling me this one little thing, which is, unless it's an organic material that wouldn't register any sort of signature on any. So you're telling me that none of the satellites up the supposed satellites picked it up, right? None of the ground radar weirdo stuff that they got to detect anything. Nothing that looks for airplanes. Nothing. It just all of a sudden, dude, it just came out like in Montana. They're like, there it is. So again, I think that it's the whole ruse of they obviously knew it was there the whole time, or there isn't any. Like, that's where I look at it a little bit. I go, oh, okay, so what's the game here? And I go, it's it's Truman Show, dude. It's literally just let's see how dumb we can make it, dude. I mean, the only thing that would be better. Well, it's like that. We live in a society that views the puppet in chief as the legitimate leader of the country. And that dude is literally a clown. And there was just another clown before that clown. Like you can go like the big Obama guy. He looked sharp. He was a sharp looking dude. You know, he had the look. He looked like a real. He had a like a leaderish look. You know, he fit well in a suit. He was very dapper and he's slick and spoke well and all that stuff. And then we get the orange buffoon, which was a straight Casting Central drop in, you know, with this whole thing, like literally like from Hollywood guy. And then it's like, okay, let's see what we can get away with now.
I think Biden, for some weird reason, I know people are going to make fun of me for saying this. I think Biden is legit like pranking all the time. I think he's actually not.
He's a clown, dude. No,
I think these guys are so like deep in the occult, like they're practitioners, they're professional occultists. He's like
trolling. That's what I'm saying. He's literally a clown.
Totally trolling, big time.
No, he's literally a clown. Yeah, like that's what I mean.
Like he's fun, like to him and his friends.
They're having fun with it. They're laughing.
He's like the one. He's the master.
He's like, let me go here. He's like, let me go see what, let him hear.
I believe like he's like a legit, like he's very well respected amongst his like peer group because he's so
yeah,
good
dude, it's the class clown. He's like, watch
he's
this.
good at it. Because sometimes he'll like be normal, and then other times he's like, it's not.
You would know what it was if he had the flower that squirted water. I mean, that was like the whole thing with the lifeguard thing with the shaving the legs and the whole thing. Like these were clown stories.
Totally, dude.
From Jump Street.
Totally.
That's what I mean is it's all just clown world. And it's beautiful.
But people take it, they interpret it wrong. They're like, oh, Joe Biden, she's retarded. No, this is he's doing his thing. He's doing the thing. He's doing the thing he's supposed to do. It's
No. It's again, it's just to see what they can get away with. It's funny because I remember, dude, that like
George Bush was also, sorry to cut you off, but George Bush, if you looked at his early speeches when he was like the governor of Texas or whatever, he was like sharp, super sharp. As soon as he became president, he started acting completely different and weird. And so he was another like joking, like total joking buffoon too.
Well, I think when they've made it that far, it's there is no need to like. I think the last dude to take it seriously ended up on the grassy knoll, dude. Like thought he was gonna like be a player, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think they get there and they're like, yeah, this is a comedy show. These people are stupid. What's the point? There is no such thing as money. It's all fake. It's all fake across the deck.
I was telling my son yesterday, he was asking me about like why it's something about like the president or whatever. I said, look, 30 years ago, I mean, imagine like, he was asking me about 9/11 and like about Muslims, you know, like why were we accused of this thing? I'm not going to get into all of it, but what I told him, I said, look, like right now, like there's such technology where I can grab your face and your voice right now, and I can recreate a whole entire narrative, real life movie of you doing all these crazy things with your voice and your face and your identical body. The CGI technology is now public. Anyone can utilize it. What about 30, 40 years ago?
But where that's where like this is where it bounces a little bit where I go, yeah, dude, if there's clowns and tricksters and they're hanging out in Saudi Arabia too, dude. They're circling doing
I'm not saying that that's not the case, but I'm also not saying that. I mean, anyone who thinks 9/11 was done solely by Muslims is retarded. I'm sorry. That is retarded.
But what I'm getting at is
what I am saying is, yes, there is in every religion or every group, there's people that will do what they're doing for money or for security or safety. They'll do whatever they need to do to get it. It has nothing to do with their faith. So if there was at any point bad actors there from our community, you know, they're doing it because for self-preservation, for money, for whatever.
Or they're they're clowning too. I mean,
usually those kind of, something like of that magnitude where people actually died. I don't know. That's because the consequence of that was millions and millions of people died in Muslim countries because of the invasions afterwards. So
I think this is the weird narrative, like in that, why would that group of people like not be subject to the same human fallacies as the other groups of people? Like I wouldn't take that at any further than as far as I can personally test the stone.
Part of the reason why is because you have you have a contention with Zionists and with Muslims in general. And so it's always been on the card to demonize Muslims and Islam for decades in Hollywood. I mean, over 70 years, there's over thousands of movies demonizing Muslims. And 9/11 was the culmination of that, and to kind of bring all that compounded hatred towards Islam and Muslims was made useful with 9/11, and it actually was directed to its proper place, saying namely from, so Israel can do whatever they're going to do. That's a fact.
I think that gives it. I think you can look right at a place like some of these giant, like Dubai, and just go, it's clown world. There are clowns there too, dude. They are just running the same. That's
not what I'm saying though. That's not the. So you could say Dubai. You could say tons of Muslim countries, unfortunately, that are completely, infiltrated, or they're completely secularized. They don't even actually represent Islam as a country. What I'm getting at, America doesn't represent Christianity. Point I'm making is the actual Muslim identity is what was attacked, not so much like the country, and that's a very Zionist endeavor. It's always been that. So I mean, there's no ambiguity in that. I think it's very common. But yeah, there's Saudi government, MBS, Mohammed bin Saud. He hangs out with Jared Kushner. I'm not ignorant to that. But what I'm saying is there is a greater objective, right? To get everyone to acquiesce to whatever Israel wants to do in their world. That's a big part of it. And there's a lot of other aspects to it, but that's a part of it.
There's an aspect of that where I think that's selling it a little, again, I can't speak for, because it's not my boat to row in, but I think that giving okay, let's say it is those dudes running that scene. I think it short circuits the power of your godly path to say that they have that kind of influence over it. They'd like to, but at the end of the day, you look at who's pushing back the hardest on some of these agendas, dude, and where it ain't going down is, I would say, your community is definitely not allowing certain aspects to roll through, where the Christians have proven to be totally cucked and powerless and oh my God.
I'm not saying that it's a little bit, as they say, complicated, because you have certain segments of our community that are very hyper against specific things, especially the whole gender bender stuff. But those same segments of the community, ironically, are taking the juice, the kuf, So what I believe has happened is that, all in all, I'm not worried about it's not about 9/11 or Brovid or any of these isolated narratives. It's a greater objective is to essentially secularize the world. That's what the New World Order is. It's Novus Ordo Seclorum. The objective has always been to secularize the world, because when the Messiah, their Messiah, comes, the Antichrist, which is, I think Muslims and Christians can both agree, is a part of our faith, he has to come at a time where the majority of people are secularized, so that he can come and control over them. So, and implement order over them, which will only last, by the way, 40 days according to our faith. Jesus, we also believe, will come and just slay the Antichrist, and that is a part of our eschatology. But yeah, I'm I'm not saying that Muslims are not like we're very away from our teachings in some regards, in some regards we're not. But I'm just
No, I was getting it. Well, like, right. Like when you have to, we have to run the lens on this thing, right? Like the trap is that when we sit with our children, right? We're reading about the, I always find that, the 60s civil rights things very potent in a lot of interesting ways. And we were studying the Children's March in Birmingham and like how radical that was. And we were watching a bunch of like actual, like the stuff that was going on where all the kids, the tens of thousands of kids showed up and took the mantle and you're watching it and you're like that's real. As I mean, everything's subjective nowadays. But what I'm saying is like, there was a time when all these kids did get together and changed the world and took it on the head and did a jail jam. The numbers are pretty wild. And I remember sitting there like watching that with Owl and we got into, and he was like trying to understand the racial component of it. If like they were Christians on this side and Christians on this side, how is this going on, right? And again, is where and this is what I was saying about the big 7-Eleven party in NYC, is when you move anywhere out of your own localized field with God and how we get there, right? It instantly is subject to the folly of man, right? Like the minute it gets out of down the street, anyone can slap a label on themselves and say, I represent, right? But it isn't till we get to sit and dialogue with ourselves that we know what it is, right? Like you as an ambassador for the Muslim reality, right? Like you have to walk it. We have to walk and talk our thing to our children, dude, because clown world starts with us, dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's no doubt about that. And there's a lot of, I mean, we're always going to need stuff to work on. I mean, it is true. Like our world that we are experiencing, at least in our own world, is a mirrored reflection of our own internal state. If we're in a good place with God and we are trying to actually work righteousness and be sincere in that and be consistent in that, then we should see that reflected in our life, and with peaceful conditions.
Well, it's very hard, right? Like, especially when it comes to talking to our children, right? Like your son's asking you like a real question about why that occurs, which if the minute you're talking to him, you've already shattered like one narrative in order to show him the truth about where you stand in light of God, right? You have to instantly shatter the narrative and go, look, dude, this is the shattering of that narrative. That isn't what went on there, which all of a sudden Bucks like swings you over here to where you're no longer sitting in the polarized realm of it. It's no different than trying to explain the massacre of the original people here and where we live, dude. I remember Al was just like, why would they do that? Like, and trying to explain that, like, I have to break the narrative of supposed American history and take this weird responsibility for my words moving forward about it, because now that I know that, now that I'm telling him it's a fragile interface with the rest of the world, right? Like the minute like the minute he's going, oh, it wasn't the Muslims that did this, it was all a thing. Like all of a sudden that actually like adds to the outside world of their polarized, like, well, what are you saying? Like that gives them fuel to the fire to be like, see, of course it is. Now you like, it's a weird thing, right? Like, oh, you hate
What
America.
happened? I can tell you what happened with the way our community responded. I mean, now that we're on the subject, and this is no different than, this is just like sort of unfortunately, like the cucked stance that majority of our community, when we were being accused of it, I was interrogated many times by FBI and Homeland Security. I was working for AT&T as a proper like field engineer with a good job, and I mean, for whatever a good job means at the time, I mean a respectable job or whatever, and we had a van and laptops in the van because we had to record the RF frequency from the towers. Yeah. So I'm near an airport, and many times that would happen. Like for the span of a couple of years, I was in and out of like interrogation rooms. Point being is that there's that like constant I guess thing that I had to fend off. But I don't know where I was going with that. There was a
the community.
Yeah. So the community, when 9/11 happened, they they were accused of this thing, and instead of defending themselves, like instead of just saying like, well, what the hell are you talking about? Like that's not us. Instead of that, they apologized. Okay, they said, we're sorry. Islam is a religion of peace. We're sorry that some of us did such a thing. And so what it did is it was like acquiescing to the accusation that, yeah, you guys did do it. And now it was roped into like whatever apologetics Islam, where this majority of we became like apologetics. And that's not to condone anything like this. It's just to say that, well, why not ask questions as to, instead of taking the blame, why not ask questions as to, what do you mean by we did it? Let's see the proof.
Well, I think that, but that's the interesting thing when I like the thing is what I was getting back earlier is why would your community not believe that's what occurred? Like everybody else, like that. There's no special lens into what's going on around us unless you've broke. It doesn't matter what you're.
Well, when Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, right after 9/11 happens, he says that the best thing that ever happened to Israel was 9/11. I mean, there's a lot of reasons as to why post-event.
No, but what I'm getting at is
together,
No, but what I'm getting at is that works for you because you're on a different path with this reality.
Yeah, I mean.
So what I'm getting at is when you're like and again, I'm not even. It's just an interesting thing I picked up on is why wouldn't they apologize? What would an average person sitting there who's subject to the same stuff that anyone I knew?
Oh, yeah, I agree. I mean, virus from Wuhan, wet market, bro. I mean, I get you.
No, but it's interesting, right? Because it's like
I get it. I'm just venting because those are the original litmus tests that would have informed us as to why we're at where we're at today. That's my only interest. I'm not.
Oh, we can look at it
back in time out of. I don't hold like resentment. At least I don't think. I'm just more of like, that's crazy. That's like interesting. That's all. It's just interesting.
Well,
I just look at it more from an observation, not really from a judgment. I'm just like, okay,
it's. I think it's an interesting thing because as parents, which has always kind of been the premise of our thing here is, as two parents, like I think one of the interesting things is like to inform our children yet we're not rolling along with the narrative. Yeah, that's a huge tricky thing to like talk about, like, because it doesn't involve buying into the status quo thing about all of it. When you start to really like uncover it all, it's like you're like, whoa, man, like
I have been coming to a realization lately that, and I've really slowed down a bit. I go in and out of the rabbit hole, but I peek in it and then I get out of it pretty quick. And what I realize is that it's not really that healthy for me to like stand in awe at the tricks of the devil and be like, wow, it's like, we know the devil is going to do what he's going to do. We know that there's evil people and there's evil going on. My interest now is like, we've got very little time in this world. We don't know how much longer we're going to be alive. We have very little time to work on ourselves and become, we're working for the hereafter. We're not working for this world. So, I mean, I can't waste a bunch of time in thinking about, what the Illuminati and the Freemasons.
That's what I'm getting. Like that's all. That my point is like that's all. It doesn't matter anymore. Who cares? No, it does cool matter in the sense of our localized interface, right? Like I remember sitting at church when I was going to the Godspeak in Thousand Oaks with the full super like pushing back on the whole narrative guy, dude. Kept his church open, Rob McCoy doing the whole thing, fighting the patriot, dude. We're not closing, dude, the whole God thing. And then I remember I was sitting there like a year into the thing, and he rolled out with a NASA shirt on. Like, and it was had to do with someone he knew. But I was sitting there and I remember sitting there like going like, whoa, dude, how does a dude who fully is calling out the scumbaggery of this one aspect of the thing, staying tuned to God, and yet the baseline story, the Wikipedia you can look up is like about NASA and the Nazis and where it came from and Werner von Braun and the whole thing. And yet this dude's hanging on to his NASA badge. And I remember because I was tripping out because he like a couple weeks over, he blew over the firmament part in Genesis. And I was like, whoa, dude, like, and it was like a real blowover. And I was like, oh, and then he came out, had the NASA thing on, like a real nice NASA shirt. Like it wasn't like a t-shirt. Like this dude's like well dressed. And he said why it was
like
wearing
a NASA like employee, like a NASA like.
Nah, it was manager. One of those things like one of his like friends or something died or died or something, dude. But it was this thing where I'm sitting there and I go, this dude's a super gnarly, well-read scholar of what he does, dude. Fully educated, gnarly dude. And yet somehow his need to hang on to NASA allows him to just blow by the biblical talk about the firmament. And I was like, whoa, dude, that's trippy. I remember sitting there and being like, that is so trippy, because it was like, I remember sitting in church and I go and I listen and I was like, oh, we're reading this part with the firmament. And he just like blew, and I was like, oh, he just blew over the firmament part. Like, oh, interesting. And then like 2 weeks later, he had the NASA shirt on and I was like, oh, I see. In order to hang on to the NASA thing, you got to close one eye and not look at the thing and be like, man, that one part. And I see it constantly in the Christian thing is this like, man, we're going to look past that. We're not going to read that part, dude. It's like the weird thing, like with Revelation, they're this ducking and weaving on this stuff where I'm like, that's why I like my new pastor, dude. He's pretty good. But I sit there and I never.
Well, I mean, my local imam who leads the prayer, he's totally, jabbed up.
But what I mean is
all that knowledge. Yeah, but there's it's an understanding of certain aspects of there's certain people that are very trusting of the government, which is interesting.
And it's funny because it's right in the wheelhouse of how hard is it, how much are you willing to hang on to the idea of the broken system versus the power of supposedly your words from God, man, right? The Bible is the living word. Again, I speak from my Christian identity. The Bible is the living word of God, handed down on God, living text, dude. And yet somehow these dudes are constantly like trying to hang on to apple pie and baseball and the whole thing. And I'm like, dude, like, how do you do that? I get it. We're supposed to occupy the land and be fruitful and stoked and the whole thing because we know the truth. But if you know the truth, then you would know that America, even on its very best footing, is still the folly of the fallen man, dude. Yeah, okay, the Constitution reaffirms our God-given rights, dude. Absolutely. Doesn't grant us any rights, just reaffirms our God-given rights. But everything built on that is just the abomination of the Garden of Eden, man, or whatever I'm trying to say. Is like to say that America is anything but a fallen state is to just not, to me, it's just to not be Christian. Like, and that's a weird thing to say, but what I'm getting at is to really look at what America's become, you have to be honest with it and be like, dude, it does not match what's going on in my book. Like on any level at this point. I got it. The Bill of Rights and the Constitution and that, but those dudes were Masons. I don't know, dude. Whatever, dude. Like, I
think of it this way. I mean, if you were around before America was, founded, you were running around with the natives, you still held the same beliefs as you hold now as a believer in God, and you're trying to do the right thing. You're identifying not with any country.
No.
You're not identifying with any political system. You're not identifying with, this is my team. You're identifying with that God is my creator. I am a human being. I have an obligation to God first. And then everything else kind of, it comes out of that or falls behind that. And I think what we've been trained, I guess, to believe is that, it's inverted. It's basically like your country first, your government first, separation of church and state first. And then, abortions are cool, chop your weenie off. All these things are fine. And then do your religion in the closet, do your religion at home. As a Muslim, it's always been, and anyone who claims to be quote unquote a believer in God has always been the law of God before any other law. And I think that when we have that frame of reference, like, it doesn't matter where you are living in whatever country you're at, you're just like, okay, well, I have to obey the law of the land, not because of the government, it's because my religion tells me I have to do so. So I'm a righteous citizen, not because of any other reason, so it's like to please God, not to please the government. I've never been very the whole patriotic thing. I've never been very choked up by that because you're talking about, like, we go back to the founding fathers and all that. It's a really sketchy.
Well, I don't get how there's an aspect of it like where I'm like, and I get it. It's fear, right? It's fear of what it would look like without that. And there, like, is the freedom, like, I found, like, once I yes,
that is true. That aspect is true, but then it's like, but even, I mean, now, like, we're free to do, like, as long as we're free to do what we want to do, then we can say that whatever's been promised from the Constitution is actually true. But we saw with the whole Brovid thing that for many people, it was more of like a.
Well, my take on it is it's a personal document.
Yeah, well, that's the point, is that it's like there's a Yeah, it becomes like a thing of choice. Like you choose freedom regardless of wherever you live.
Well, that's what I meant about the pastor fighting for the constitutional right to keep the church up. Well, the church is cucked, right? The church is fully cut. They're 501c3 and blah, 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 blah. They cucked, but this dude fought to keep it open. And yet, like at a certain point, the blinders went right back on. Like, well, I'm not going to look like there's got to be yeah, there's one part of it they're doing is super wrong and it goes against the thing, but like I ain't looking over here. Like it's that thing of like at this point, you know, it's
what was your biggest takeaway from the past 3 years? Like something maybe you've already known, but it just maybe enhanced, like, because I'm sure you kind of already thought many of these things anyways, but what became heightened? What was the biggest takeaway?
that I'm free.
Yeah.
That I've never been a prisoner, dude. That I've always had to volunteer for my servitude. That with God, like, I don't have to worry about any of it. Dude, they're not coming for me.
Yeah.
Like I didn't know that. I thought they were coming for me. Like when the whole thing started, I was talking to my friend about it. Like when the whole thing started, I was like, it's on. They're coming. It's the thing. And then I heard it the other day. I made a video about it the other day. I was listening to this lefty guy talk, that Bosch guy, and he was like, yeah, if the right takes over, they're going to stick us all in camps. And I was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. All the crazy lefties think the exact same thought as the crazy right wingers, dude. Everybody thinks they're going to get stuffed in a camp by the other side. And what the last 3 years taught me is they don't have any game. That's why I don't give up about the Rothschild or the big Zionist or any of these dudes. They're all limp-wristed, limp-dicked fools compared to God. None of them got the game that God has. And the minute I go outside of that parameter that God is running the show, I fall victim to the folly of the apple, dude.
Yeah.
And that's more what I was getting, because I found it very interesting is how do we talk about some of these things and explain our pathways with our children and be like, look, dude, I got to tell you the ugly truth, man.
Well, that's the most powerful like frame to give it to your children is that, you know, God, you know, they plan and God plans, and God is the best of planners. Reality is like that everything that's happening in the world is being done by God himself. So
no, God is perfect. Like that's the thing is where I fall short continually. I think that this isn't the magic orchestration of God. Like I still like even when you brought up the big party in New York City 20 years ago, I still default to that was somehow not part of the plan. Like the big cosmic God plan. Like, yeah, like I have no, the minute I think that, the devil has more power, like he's like,
well, I was talking about that last night. I was like I know a lot of people refer to the devil as the prince of this world, and I never sat good with me because that would insinuate that has separate power from God. And the reality is the devil can't do anything without the permission of God. And that has to come into our heart full on. If we believe that the devil is like over here and then God is over here and they fight against each other, that's ridiculous. God has created the devil to test us.
Yes. That's the point. It's perfect, because the minute you abdicate your authority back to them, like you've once again failed that test in the micro moment, right? Like, and I do it constantly. Like
we'll all fall.
I made a video I posted about the clouds, and what woke me up, man, is, and we'll wrap it up because I know you gotta go, and I forgot the other day, I was driving down to Bakersfield to get supplies and stuff, and they were just upper atmosphere aerosoling, just grids and just gritting the thing. And I started to laugh, and I was like, I was like, oh, that's what fully woke me up, dude, to the next level of the wake up is the clouds were trying to kill me. And once you realize the clouds are trying to kill you, there's nowhere you can possibly go. It's in everything. And then you go, okay, well, if it's in everything, like, well, what's the point? And the point is to realize that you're not like, you're in this world, but you're not of this world. So like, what's the folly? And then when I look at the clouds, right, what do I see? I see an incredible amount of labor and infrastructure going to convince me to live in fear. Like they can't get me unless I sign up for it and be like, the devil runs the world and God is just a puny little elf, dude, in a gnome world on DMT, dude. Like that's the whole hustle with the DMT, by the way, is yeah, God's a little elf. It's like, no, dude, it's so much bigger and more powerful than that. And all you have to do is navigate this and try to, that's why it's always good. I'm always stoked to talk to you because I know we've been through it now for years. I mean, that's what brought us together. When we first ever talked, was it 12 years ago? Something like that. Yeah. And it was all about this. And again, that's when it was real polarized. The Muslims are going to get us thing was super potent 12 years ago. We were still like, oh, they're coming out of the cave to get shot, dude.
We can't even like, if you should see us on Friday at our Friday prayer, we can't even park our cars correctly.
Dude, that's what I'm saying,
most unorganized, dysfunctional lot of people. And it's
we can't.
I love my community, but I'm just saying, it's like, how are we gonna like take over the world? This is hilarious.
No, that was like the goofy thing with the chicken feeds gonna make the chickens not lay eggs. And I was like, have you thought about that for a moment? Like, do you realize how much work it would take to do that and to get that low scale of a result? I go, and this again is the thing why there's no nukes. If they wanted to do us in, they would just push the button, dude. Because it's the same result. Like I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm psych. I'm gonna do it. Promo code. Psych. Promo code green sweatshirts, dude.
I'm gonna do it. Don't you dare. I'm in psych.
People are mad, dude. We like because we're not back in the narrative. I don't even.
What narrative?
That we're supposed to be angry about it, dude. Like that we're supposed to be gloom and doom. It's all too good, dude. Like that's what I mean. You asked me what I learned. What did you learn over the last 3 years? On the way out.
Well, it wasn't like it was what I learned is just to like, I really learned how to pay attention to the subtleties, like to look at the details. You know, that, I mean, and, you know, yeah, by looking at the details, you could see God's hand in everything. And you could see his, you know, his authority over everything. But yeah, just the subtleties of it is what what interests me, you know, like just to kind of like start to like kind of trip out and ask questions about to myself, like what does this mean right now? Like why, you know, when Brovid happened, I was like, what is this? Like kind of, this is weird. Like, but there's that thing of like, you know, there's it's all these narratives are all different versions of like warp speed. Like we gotta get the shots in everyone right now. And it's like, well, that was exactly what they did 9/11. We gotta get the terrorists right now. And it's like, there's always that, you know, the problem, you know, reaction, solution. And I think that methodology of that whole like Hegelian method has sped up now, like really fast to where it's like problem, reaction, solution. Like you almost see it like happen in a day where they'll come out with a narrative and like by the end of the day, like it's like already being like worked on. So based on that, you know, you kind of realize, you realize that like the devil himself is occupying these people and it's really like his time is waning. His time is running out. And
Do you think
there's a desperation.
Do you think like the devil, like so God, when God's forming it all up, he takes the seventh day off, right? He like, that's going to take the seventh day off after creating everything, right? Do you think the devil just really, like, if you could go talk to the devil, is just like, bro, like, I want to take like a millisecond off. Like, I don't think people think like that, is go, dude, in order for the devil to do, he gets zero time off, because if that dude stops doing the thing, it all falls apart. Like, imagine being like how frantically tired the devil must be, dude.
Well, the interesting thing, I mean, according to our tradition, the devil, before he was casted out, he was one of God's most endearing worshipers. He was very obedient. And there was said there's not a place in the whole entire universe where he didn't perform prostration or do some prayer, right? So he was always obedient. And so, yeah, I mean, that's in him, that drive. Now it's just the other direction.
Well, I just more meaning, like, the thing is, like, if people would take a step back and think about it, like that it's from the devil, it must not be the easiest job he's got to try to convince all of us to give up our soul to damnation, right? Like the amount of just effort and trickery and con jobs, and I got to set up a new hustle over here, and I got to send these dudes in over there with that hustle over there, and I got to do this, like the thing up there, and God's just looking at the folly and just being like, wow, like, Jiminy, wow, dude, like, whoa. You think God sits up there sometimes and it's just like, wow, dude, that was pretty creative, dude. The thing with the matching pillars and the planes and the thing and the old TV shows and the Simpsons and the whole thing, like, whoa. And then you're using all that for this like shot thing and the thing and and now we're over in the wheat fields with the duck and the
I mean, that's what's interesting, is that he's using God's system and like backdooring everything. I mean, so all those things are already there, and he's using it to his own advantage. I mean, that's God. Satan believes in God. He doesn't disbelieve in God. He fully believes in God, but he wants everyone else to not believe in God.
Well, yeah,
he's a believer, and
that's the hustle, dude.
That's the crazy thing, is because, you know, he's not a
that's the joke, right? The standing joke is Satanists know more about God than religious people do, because the Satans are busy like using that like anti.
They use that reality of like that kind of like they feel they have a green light to do what thou wilt, so to say.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. Like that whole thing. That's why I've always argued that the atheist is closer to finding God than the agnostic. I think that's the trouble with the whole thing, is the fence sitter, man. The fence sitter doesn't really care enough to commit to a path, but the atheist believes that there isn't a God so much that it only actually like makes God exist in a weird way. And once they give up the work, right? It's sort of the thing. In order to be an atheist, you can't take a minute off. You can't stare at the bumblebee and the flowers or the giraffes or any of it and be like, you have to fully, like, constantly, everything you observe has to be godless. No God, just no God, dude. And that's a full-time job. The agnostics walking around like, yeah, okay, sure, bumblebees, yeah, but God, mate, why not? I don't know, who cares? Whatever. Yeah, oh my, I'm gonna go listen to this. I'm gonna go do that. Smoke some crack, do this. While the agnostic's got like an atheist has got a full-time job, 24/7. You cannot. It's that weird thing. It's like a real true anarchist. Like a true anarchist, not one of these bottle throwing claimers with the big red A. Like a real anarchist, they get no time off. everything they do has to be in that like coded, or they fall out of the anarchy model. Like anarchy is the most dedicated, like high strung weirdo shit, because like the minute you give up on the core principles, you're not an anarchist anymore. You got to like, you've lost you. Now you're a capitalist. Now you're this. Now you're that. Now it's you fall out real easy. And I think it's the same for the atheist. Like you have to work. And I would argue that the devil is really just tired, man, because his plots seem weak nowadays. They're not impressive. I mean, you can give me the thing with the Boston Dynamics robots. Like that was the new thing that came out there. The Boston Dynamics robot can like do things like a human and work and stuff. And I'm like, all right, like, well, okay, sure. Why not? So that got to do with me, bro. Can that dude go shopping for? Can that dude go down to the supermarket and deal with the slow motherfucker in line in front of me, please?
I do think it's funny that Owen Benjamin. I know your thoughts on him, but I do think it's funny that
I'm coming around on him again, dude.
Okay.
Like I'm circling back on.
I personally like him. I've kind of looked over whatever other stuff, but I get it. Like I know there's things I didn't like and don't like, but I still like. I
stood up for your people when you wouldn't, dude.
Well, there's redeeming qualities, and so anyways, he talked about Jizz Rocket. It's a squirt coin. Like they actually came out with.
Oh yes, that was a while ago.
Jizz Rocket. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, dude.
Oh, wow.
No, it's all just ridiculousness, dude. That's what I'm saying. Like, can you build if they're gonna have the fake robots and the things and the AI and the whole thing? Like, dude, literally, dude, can you guys like get up and go feed the goats in the morning? Like, come on, man. Like, really, can you roll out the trash cans for me? Like, please.
That's like, I always forget that one.
You know, like
early in the morning at the last minute. Like,
oh, we don't even do that. I take it down to the waste transfer. I load up my truck, dude. Take it to the waste transfer. That's what I'm saying. Is
Ford F-150.
my little Nissan, dude. That's the joke, dude. Is you ain't getting out. No one's getting out of this game like that, dude. You're gonna have to go schlep to the supermarket one more time and stand behind that dumb fool who at 15 years into this does not know how to use the little card scanner. Like, what?
I asked my teacher, I was like, what about moving to another country, like somewhere? And he's like, for what? Like, what? I mean, it's gonna find you there too. Meaning,
I
realize, that's been the big takeaway. We can close on this, but that if anything's been the big takeaway is that really like these past 3 years have taught me that we are essentially, it's up to us with God's will to create our own reality here, regardless of, first, because for your neighbor, it might be they're coming for us, and for you, it's like, heaven. So it's weird like that. It's very individually, sort of.
Now you're bumping into quantum of consciousness thing where it's custom made for you on the fly.
Custom made. That's exactly what I was trying to find.
Well, remember all the people that like 5 years ago were like, I'm moving to New Zealand. How did that work out for you, dude?
Yeah. Let's move to or Canada. Remember that one? When
I'm going to Canada, dude. That's right.
Everyone moved to Canada, and then that was a practical joke right there. Wow. Yeah. Moving to Canada because they I was like, okay. Wow. Anyways.
All right, my brother. Love you, Jordan.
Love you too, bro.
All right, man.